In today's video, I'm going over the home buying process and what purchasing a home looks like in Jacksonville. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, what's up? I'm Ariana Gray, your Jacksonville real estate professional, and welcome to my channel. If you're a first-time home buyer, then this video is for you. I wish I had a resource like this to kind of prep me for the home buying process when I was purchasing my home, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. There are a lot of unknowns when you're buying a home, and it's not every day that you come across an agent who's willing to educate you and guide you through the process. It can be overwhelming, and honestly, it really shouldn't be. It should be fun and light and a bit of a celebration because you're about to make one of the biggest investments of your entire life. Purchasing a home is definitely a journey, and that journey can look different for several different people, but the overall process of purchasing a home is fairly consistent no matter where you live. So let's get into it. The very first thing you should do is find a real estate agent and hire them. And not just any agent, make sure that this is someone who you connect with, who you feel like will offer you the level of support and service that you need. When you contact an agent, most agents are going to have what's called a buyer consultation. And this is the time for you and your agent to kind of learn each other and to figure out if it's best for you two to be working together. The agent should be asking you a lot of questions to find out what your wants and needs are and what your preferred timeline is. And this will also be the time that they should be explaining the benefit of working with them and what you can expect from them as your agent. Some things you should be paying attention to are whether they work as a solo agent or whether they're on a team. If they're on a team, who's going to be your main point of contact? Will it be them or will it be someone else? How often will they be in communication with you? Do they have preferred partners for lenders, inspectors, home warranties, and home insurance, etc.? Depending on what state you're in, this may also be the time that the agent tries to get you to sign a buyer's representation agreement. In some states, that's required. In Florida, it's not because we are assumed to be transaction brokers. And this is also the time for you to be asking your agent questions because you want to get a feel for if this is someone that you want to work with. This is not just a one-time transactional type of relationship. This is more of a long-term thing. And depending on what agent you end up working with, you definitely will have more encounters with them beyond just the home purchase. So it's really important that whoever you're using, that you like them and that you trust them. And I want to make a note here. It's totally fine to interview other agents. In fact, you should, just so you can get a feel for who's out there. If you're going to do this, just make sure that when you're interviewing agents, you let them know that you're also in contact with other agents before you decide who you're going to be working with. So after all that's said and done, and you've found an agent who you like and that you've connected with, then if you haven't already gotten pre-approved, this will be your agent's next step. Now, there's pre-qualification and then there's a pre-approval. Pre-qualification I like to think of as more of like a soft credit pull. It's not really going into a bunch of details about your credit history and your employment history. So it's just giving like a very glossed over idea of what you may be able to qualify for in a home. A pre-approval letter is much more stringent, and they are going to ask you for employment history, credit history, what's in your bank accounts, like what kind of money you have there, what they call reserves, just to get an idea financially what they'd be willing to lend you to purchase a home. If you've already done this step, then that's fine, but if not, make sure that you go ahead and get pre-approved with whoever your realtor is recommending. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, you want to make sure that whoever your lender is familiar with your local market, and it's best to just go with the lender who's in your local market. And that's because they are aware of the market trends there. They know the numbers that they need to crunch with the taxes and all of the things. So it can work in your benefit to work with a local lender because then when it comes time to figuring out how much you need to pay at closing, they can kind of tweak the numbers for you if they need to. And then number two, it's very important that you have great communication between your realtor and lender. So most times realtors do have a preferred lender that they like working with. And that's just because they have a prior working relationship. They know how the other person works. Communication is great. And then that just means there's a smoother transaction. And there are a lot of moving parts when you're talking about real estate transactions, and things can go wrong at any point in time. So it's important that you have a lender who is at least in the same time zone as your realtor. So when anything comes up, Everything can be rectified the same day, within minutes even, if that is the case. Once you've figured out everything with your lender and gotten pre-approval, this is when the fun starts. This is when you guys get to go house hunting. And there's a reason why we do it in this order, because when you get approved for a loan, it's not just telling us the amount that you're approved for, but it's also telling us what kind of loan. So we have conventional loans, FHA loans, VA loans, and USDA loans. So when we go into the MLS as an agent and we're looking at homes that are available that may be in your price range, we're also able to see what type of financing that the seller is accepting. So there are times where a seller will only accept a conventional loan or cash. They're not always accepting all loan types. So to save you guys some heartache and to save us from looking at homes that ultimately we won't be able to put an offer on, we need to know these terms up front. Once you've gone through all of that and you've found the perfect home and the home that you just absolutely love, your agent will walk you through the steps of making an offer. And this is where not all agents are built the same. Your agent should be reaching out to the selling side to find out some important details to help you structure your offer so you can come in strong. And this is no matter what market you're in. You could be in a buyer's market, a seller's market, it could be a neutral market. You want to be able to position yourself to make a strong offer no matter what. So with your agent reaching out to the other side, they should be finding out things like what the seller's motivation is for moving, if there are other offers on the table, if they've previously been under contract, why did that deal fall through? Was there already an inspection done on the property when they were previously under contract, etc. There's a lot of things that should be going into those conversations between your buyer's agent and the listing agent. This is a pivotal educational moment for you as a buyer, and your agent should be taking the time out to make you feel knowledgeable and empowered and like you're a part of the process. It should never be a situation where you feel like your agent is just making all these recommendations and you just kind of go along with it. Truly make sure you understand the process, because again, this is one of the biggest investments that you will be making in your life. So you should definitely know what's going on and feel confident. If there's ever something you're not understanding, you should ask your agent for clarification. And that's not just for this part with offers and negotiations, that's for any part of the real estate transaction. So now you've made your offer, and so for simplicity's sake, we're just going to say that negotiations were fairly simple and your offer was accepted. This is what you may hear some agents refer to as going under contract, meaning both parties agreed to the terms and signed the agreement. At that point, you as the buyer will have to remit your earnest money deposit or your binder deposit. This is the same thing, those terms are used interchangeably. And I want to note here that this is not your down payment. It's a part of your down payment, but it is not the down payment in full. This is simply just a deposit to show the seller that you're making your offer in good faith. Typically, it's 1% of the purchase price. So for example, if you offered $300,000 on a home, 1% of that would be $3,000. So you would go get either a cashier's check or make sure you have the funds available in your account to do an electronic funds transfer to the appropriate party. In Florida, you have 5 days from when the contract was signed to send in your binder deposit. And this is going to be held by either a title agent or title company, a closing attorney, or a broker's office that holds escrow. It just depends, and your agent will give you guidance on that. Then you'll apply for your loan. So the pre-approval that you got previously will now become official. And so your lender will go ahead and submit all your information. They might request some more documentation from you just to get a little more details on your credit history and your employment history, just to make sure that they have everything that they need to submit to underwriting. So you may have heard people say, don't open a new line of credit or don't make any big purchases while you're trying to purchase a home. And that is because of this part right here, underwriting. So what underwriting is doing, they're reviewing all of your financial information. And what they're trying to figure out is if they lend you the money, that you will in fact be able to pay that back. They're basically reviewing your spending habits and what they want to see in your bank accounts. And this is usually over like a 60 or 90-day period that they're reviewing your previous bank statements. But they want to make sure that you aren't out here just flagrantly spending money. They just want to make sure that what you're doing is consistent so they know that you're financially responsible. This can take about 30 to 45 days for them to review the information. And at this time, the lender will also order an appraisal on the property. So it's important to note that a lender or a bank will never loan you money more than what a home is worth. So the appraisal is to make sure that the value of the home is in line with the loan amount. So while that previous step is happening with that 30 to 45 days of underwriting, you're given what's called a due diligence period. So this is when you as a buyer have the right to order a home inspection and have someone come out and basically check on the condition of the property. And this is going to cover everything from the rooter to the tutor. So you're going to have the roof being inspected, the HVAC, electrical, the plumbing, all of the bones of the house, the foundation, just to make sure that the property is in decent, livable condition. And this is another out-of-pocket cost that you'll need to make sure that you have funds for. So typically with home inspections, at least here in my area in Northeast Florida, they start around $350, and that's usually for a home that's 1,800 square feet or under, and then they increase with the square footage. Sometimes they'll add on extra costs, like if it's in a condo community or if there's a crawl space, anything that may inconvenience them, they may add on additional cost for that. So during this inspection period, and in Florida you have 10 days to perform this, it should be including a general inspection of the home with a 4-point inspection, which typically that's for insurance purposes. It should also include what we call WDO, so wood destroying organisms inspection. If there's a pool, you should get a pool inspection. If there's a septic tank, you should be getting a septic inspection. Any other kind of specialty inspections that may be necessary for that property, you want to make sure that you're doing them during this time. In my experience, most inspectors that I work with are able to get a report back to the buyers within 24 hours. So they'll email that to you, and basically the report will be detailed into sections. So you'll have everything with the exterior and then everything with the interior, and then you have some miscellaneous items listed. And what they do is go through each item and they'll rate it based on severity level. So you'll have items that seem to be working well, that are in fine condition. You'll have some that are more moderate, that maybe in a couple of years may need to be looked at or replaced. And then you'll have what I like to call high alert. And those are going to be your red items. So those will be things that absolutely need to be rectified before you purchase this home. And if not, things that you should just be aware of, that'll be an issue when you move into this home if you were to buy it. And this is where, as a buyer, you're at liberty to ask for repairs. So you can submit what's called a repair request to the sellers and try to negotiate items that they will be willing to repair for you. And it's imperative that this is all kind of happening within that 10 days, because that earnest money deposit that we talked about earlier, that money is refundable to you if you are having to back out of the contract within that 10-day inspection period. So if you get the inspection done and you and the seller are not able to agree on repairs, you as the buyer have the opportunity to say that you no longer want to move forward on that contract. The contract would be canceled, and then you would be able to get your binder back in full. Now, if you were beyond that 10-day period, then your binder is no longer refundable. Agents are the ones that make sure that you're staying within that timeline. So it's really nothing to worry about on your end as a buyer, but just something that you should be fully aware of. So that's if you and the seller cannot agree on repairs. If you do agree on repairs, then the seller has 7 days to rectify the agreed upon repairs. Once all those repairs are completed, then you will have a re-inspection. So you'll have that same inspector come back out to the home and check all the items that you guys agreed upon being repaired to make sure that they were in fact repaired. It really depends on who you use, but you have some inspectors who will charge you, again, for a re-inspection fee. Usually it's cheaper though. It's about $100 in my area, maybe $150. Other inspectors may not charge you for a re-inspection fee. If all goes well with the re-inspection, then at this point, you're just waiting for your loan to be approved. And so during this time, what you'll want to do as the buyer is shop around for homeowners insurance. Usually they'll need the 4-point inspection report to make sure that the property is in fact insurable. And I'm not sure how it is in other states, but I know in Florida, your homeowner's insurance gets paid through your mortgage. So when you call for quotes, they will be asking you who your lender is so they can get that information set up. After days and days have passed, by this point, you should have received what we like to call a clear to close, where your loan has been approved and you are on your way to receiving the keys to your new home. This is the tail end of the journey. At this point, you're just waiting on closing documents, and these are going to come from your lender. Everything will be detailed out for you. It'll show you the loan amount and then how that breaks down in cost, as far as what kind of money you put down for your down payment, your binder, any type of credits you have in regards to that. It'll also have a line on there for the amount that you need to bring for closing. So this would be what we call closing costs. Your closing cost will typically be paid at closing. So what you would need to do is go get a cashier's check for whatever amount that is that your lender has sent you and bring that with you on closing day. Around the same time, your agent is going to go to the home with you to perform a final walkthrough. This is just to make sure that whatever you guys agreed on in that contract as far as what is and is not conveying with the sale of the property is either there or is not there. So for example, if there was furniture in the house at the time that you made the offer on the property, and the seller said that the furniture does not come with the sale of the home, then you want to make sure that they have cleared their items out as far as furniture goes and that those items are no longer in the property. If you guys agreed that appliances would be staying, including the refrigerator, microwave, stove, dishwasher, washer and dryer, then you want to make sure that those items are still there. So if you get into a situation where items that you agreed on that should be there are not, or items that should not be there are, then your agent will be connecting with the listing agent just to let them know of this, and they will resolve it. And now it's closing day. So exciting. And it's exciting for us as agents, believe it or not. So with closing day, this is when you're going to be signing your life away on all of the mortgage documents, and you can expect to be there for about an hour. Typically, a closing is held at either a title company's office or a broker's office. It really just depends. It could be a completely different location, but you'll be privy to that information obviously before closing. If you are buying a home that's in an HOA community, you'll be getting your HOA bylaws, you'll be getting an estoppel. So whatever applies to your property specifically, that is the time that you will be receiving all of those documents. You can expect to see your agent there, obviously, and most times your mortgage lender will be there. It depends on who you're working with and what their style is, but my preferred lenders are always going to be there at closing day if their schedules allow for it, because again, they've been on that journey with you too, trying to make sure that everything goes through. And if you work with an awesome agent like me, then you can also expect as a buyer to receive a closing basket with tons of goodies in there that are specific to you. And if it's not a basket, your agent may just give you a simple closing gift, whatever that may be. So after being best friends with your agent for 30 to 45 days or for however long it takes, you basically at this point, once you've gotten your keys, become a part of their extended family. You can expect to be invited to client appreciation events. You can expect a housewarming gift, home anniversary gifts, treats for other holidays, check-ins, and pretty much just a long-term relationship from this point. And that's all there is to it. Of course, everyone's home buying journey, like I said in the beginning, looks different, but the process is generally the same once you've gotten your financial ducks in a row. It's a really exciting time and nothing that you should fear if you have the right agent on your side guiding you through the journey. If you or someone you know is interested in buying a home, make sure you like, comment, and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.